Ibrahim, what's the battery here? It's off. The battery.
What's the big one? Use the big one.
Yeah, I put in the bag here. It's off.
We are the live broadcast with footage straight from Hong Kong. And right now, Hong Kongers are in the midst of a protest that was previously banned by police over safety reasons, but they said that they will come out anyways over whatever other reasons they can think of that don't require formal official permit. That includes religious meetings.
It's okay. There's one more after.
We can hear from the distance that people are shouting. From another area, police are coming out in large numbers.
当做回家，当这个回家啦。
我喂，小姐，小姐，小姐。
Across the barricades, protesters gathered in large numbers. And they're building more barricades. Looks like a fire has been started. And they're burning some stuff. Earlier at the police headquarters and in front of the government building, police had deployed different weapons including water cannon and tear gas, firing them toward protesters. And the water cannon also included water that is dyed in blue to identify protesters. Police also directed laser pens in the building. Laser pen protests it's a form invented by protesters as a form of dissent against the police who arrested the student leader earlier for purchasing multiple laser pens, saying that it's a form of offensive weapon. But protesters are saying that this doesn't really constitute anything major or aggressive, yet it's not as harmful as the weapons that the police had used. Right now, the protest against the mass extradition bill will allow the regime to prosecute people from Hong Kong and place them on trial in the Chinese court system has moved on to the top tier. The bill has since been suspended over public pressure, but people continually come out to the streets every week and sometimes even most recently almost daily to demand the government to hear their demands, including looking into the police violence that that, and they were furious about the previous arrest just the day before, which they said was the intimidation tactic used by the police to deter them from participating in the protest. You can see that they are burning some objects with fire and building more barricades, beating up some metal tins to build up momentum. And it's already at night, but it seems that the protest is still continuing. It's unclear how many people have been arrested today, but in one place alone, 4 protesters had been taken away by the police. Multiple metro stations were closed earlier in anticipation of the mass protest. In multiple districts where protesters have gathered, police had raised black flag warning and fired tear gas toward the protesters. And they said that they will use double force to double down on the weapon used, such as tear gas and rubber bullets. Civil Human Rights Front, the organizer of this event, had to cancel the protest.
有大量的烟释放出来，前面呢其实都是一些记者在名牌站在高墙上面的，这里呢就是设立了。
where we are right now, police had come out earlier and fired tear gas toward protesters. It's unclear whether they'll come out again very soon, but in anticipation, a lot of protesters as well as press members have put on their tear gas masks. A handful of protesters are pointing laser pens toward the building, and they're burning some objects as well as beating the metal tin in rhythm. Earlier today, police had deployed water cannon, shooting water with dyed in blue toward protesters, that can be used later on to identify them. It's unclear whether they'll come out very soon, but in anticipation, a lot of people have put on their masks.
呢度係新唐記者黃瑞秋響香港銅鑼灣嘅報導。咁我哋見到咧，就後面個智慧燈柱啊，上面咧就好多鏡頭㗎。而家示威者咧，淨係用緊啲觀星嘅激光筆啦，就射向咗佢嘅鏡頭啦。咁下面咧就有一個電箱嘅。啱啱我哋見示威者咧，就下面嘅電箱度咧就剪咗部分嘅線啦，咁樣。咁我哋觀察到咧，佢哋喺剪線嘅圖。
The protests have been largely scattered today because of a police ban earlier. Civil Human Rights Front, the organizer of the event, said that they had to cancel the protest because of lack of a permit. But protesters have continued to come out in different districts. Different protests have broken out in different names, such as religious prayers and taking walks, etc. And they're shouting, "Go Hong Kongers, reclaim Hong Kong, revolution of our times," hoping the government could hear their demands. The 5 demands, including investigation into police violence, the formal full withdrawal of the bill, the extradition bill, as well as the resignation of their current leader, Carrie Lam. In different places, such as the metro station, the protesters, volunteers, they have set up different supply stations, making sure that the protesters have provisions. The water cannon deployed earlier, according to protesters, had some irritable substance inside, and a 14-year-old girl who was shot by the dyed water said that there seemed to be pepper inside, and she felt really like the sense of burning on her skin after the touch. It didn't seem that protesters had any aggressive action toward the police, but in different places, police have been firing tear gas even from the sky bridge. And the situation here, and as well as in some other districts where protesters have gathered, have remained very tense. Police have criticized the gathering as unlawful and said that they will use any means possible, doubling down on their weapon use, firing tear gas, etc., to disperse the crowd. But protesters remain defiant, and they said that the police are black police who collude with gangsters. And they have criticized police multiple times for firing tear gas and other weapons toward protesters without much warning and causing a lot of injuries. There have also been rumors and suspicions that the police here are a mix of Hong Kong police as well as the police from mainland China. In today's march earlier, that was not approved by the police. Protesters have used different flags, such as anti-flags, banners that was decorated by the stars from the Chinese national flag, in a satire against the Chinese regime's authoritarian rule.
但是整个黑烟在继续，但是我们看到消防车很奇怪的面对这大火完全没有出动。
And the fire here is getting larger and larger, with more protesters joining in on the laser show, pointing laser pens toward the building in a descent
现在我们听到消防车的声音，是往
against
这
the
边开过
police
来。
and the government.
Now 现在气氛稍微平静一点，火势呢没有，就是也受到一些控制。这火烧得很大，消防车的声音我们听到一些，这边有车开过来，但是好像是。
There are at least thousands of protesters gathering in front of the circle. And in front of the government building, more people have gathered. Seems that the fire is being a bit out of control. Some people try to put it out, but it's just been getting larger and larger. There was also sound of explosion from the fire.
退回到这个宽窄天桥，离这个大火有一定的距离，因为现在这火势也是越来越旺。但很奇怪，为什么消防车到现在还没有出动？好像没有人来灭火。
Right now at Wanchai, the fire has been a bit out of control. It was started earlier by protesters who now have been trying to put out the fire, but it's just been expanding. And in different other areas, the police had fired tear gas toward protesters in an attempt to disperse them. The protest today was formally banned by the police, but the Civil Human Front, which organized the event but formally cancelled it over police objection, asked people to be safe and said that they will support people in whatever way they can. And they also asked people to do a silent protest by using the flashlights on their phone and shouting slogans. They said that they want to spread the light of democracy to every corner of Hong Kong. Now firefighters have come to the scene to put out the fire. There have been 2 or 3 personnel from the firefighting team department, and in some other areas the protesters are also using laser pen to point at both the government building and different other newspaper stations that would really newspapers agency that they believe to be pro-China and reporting them, casting them in a negative light in their reporting. In several districts such as Causeway Bay and Wan Chai, protesters are still in large numbers. And they have been mostly peaceful, using laser pens to protest against police violence. Here in the commercial district, protesters are gathering in large numbers, perhaps thousands of them, wearing their trademark black t-shirts and masks, and they're mostly silent. The Hong Kong anti-extradition bill crisis has continued since June, and it's been 12 weeks into the protest that is still going strong. Protesters have been coming out every week to demand the government to take some action and grant the city more freedom to restore the city to the formal independence. And Hong Kong government has been repeatedly ignoring the demands of the protesters. But in different other parts of the world, in the past few weeks, different countries such as the US, UK, Australia, and the European Union have spoken out against the violence happening in Hong Kong, saying that the government should hear protesters' demands. US Senator Chuck Schumer, for example, the leader of the Democratic Party, said that China's tightening grip on Hong Kong to strangle democracy is a desperate act of a brutal authoritarian regime. And he also said, for months now, the people of Hong Kong have taken to the streets to stand up for their democratic rights. The America must continue to stand with them. And similar words have also been said by other US officials, especially the day before the protests began, as a result of the arrest of several prominent activists in Hong Kong, including Joshua Wong, who was the leader of a previous mass protest in Hong Kong, the 2014 Umbrella Movement. And unlike the previous movement, the recent mass protests have been largely without a formal designated leader. So Hong Kongers are saying that the intimidation tactics, such as arresting the activists, would not be effective in intimidating them off the streets. And that was part of the inspiration for today's protests. And a lot of people continue to come out saying that they will not be scared by the police white terror, in their words. And at the government headquarters, a lot of protesters who previously set up roadblocks are right now retreating. And some protesters are also heading toward North Point. They're asking each other to retreat. The police had denounced the fire that broke out earlier in Wanchai, and it's still going on right now, saying that they're asking protesters to immediately stop doing such acts. Firefighters have come out to the scene, but because of the fire, the large fire, they haven't been able to put it out. There are not a lot of protesters at the scene, and only 2 firefighters, or a couple of them. But it seems that the police, in large numbers, are coming toward the area. Protesters are making way for the firefighters. As you can see, the firefighters are coming in more numbers to help with the fire situation. And outside of Wanchai Police Headquarters, protesters are building more barricades, roadblocks outside of the station, pointing laser toward the building, and they also hung up several banners. Today, protesters have been calling each other to remain peaceful but vigilant, and to continue to strike to stop brutality.
Excuse me, can I move a little bit to the side? Thank you so much. Early on, they kicked me out.
At Arsenal Street, the around 40 riot police were holding long shields standing there, but they have now retreated into the police headquarters. The fire has been in more control right now as more firefighters come to the scene. As a recap, today's protest was formally banned by the police, and so the Civil Human Rights Front, the organizer of the event, had to cancel the large rally that they planned earlier. But however, Hong Kongers continue to come out, starting events and activities in various forms in protest. Around noon, they started a religious gathering in Wan Chai to pray for the Hong Kong leader, who they said is the culprit for the extradition bill and the Hong Kong crisis. And they started a march there, and in the afternoon, in other areas including Central and in Causeway Bay, large numbers of protesters also gathered to join in the march. They also, Christians in large numbers also gathered in front of the police headquarters and a number of other churches to sing religious songs before joining the protesters. Then later in the day, a number of police deployed water cannon and tear gas, and they fired the water cannon, the dyed blue water, toward protesters, which can be used later on to identify them. One of the major themes for today's protest is largely connected with the date. About just 5 years ago, the Chinese regime set up restricting the city's formal free election, and at the 5th anniversary of what happened. As a result of that, they wanted to start today's rally in protest to demand the real and free election in the city, and to reclaim the former independence of the city. They're saying that right now the leaders they are able to elect have been all selected, handpicked by the Chinese regime, and therefore it's not a real election. And they were also elected by a 1,200 seat council that are comprised largely of pro-China, pro-Chinese regime members. Police have come out, it looks like, from the police station. They're holding flags and long shields. Just moments earlier, they have denounced the protesters for starting the fire, saying that it's damaging the public property, and asking them to stop the activity. And the situation is a bit in chaos right now, as protesters and police come into a standoff. It appears that they're taking down the roadblocks that the protesters have set out. And there might be around 100 police members there at least. And they have also just thrown a tear gas bullet toward the press members. The water cannon car is also making its way toward the area. The fire that was started earlier had been largely put out. They continue to take down the roadblocks. Protesters, on the other hand, have making their way back away from the police. Not many protesters can be seen here, but police are still giving warnings. They have raised up their batons. Seems more police officers are gathering here. They have cleared off the roadblocks. And from a distance, protesters can be seen pointing laser pens toward the police. Police are lining up. The anti-riot police have lined up with their long shields, as in the distance the protesters are pointing laser pens toward them. We can see that a lot of protesters continue to march with their umbrellas on. And they're moving away as the police advance toward them. Police are advancing with their water cannon cars. They have earlier fired the blue dye toward protesters, and it's said that there's some irritable substance inside that. They're closing off the gap between the protesters and the police. The situation is getting more tense as protesters get chased off by the police who are holding batons and shields. They are holding up the guns. Protesters are running away. A person has fallen down to the ground. It's unclear what's happening. It appears that the police had pressed another person down to the ground. More police are gathering here, and they are advancing. The water cannon truck is coming. have stopped under the Sky Bridge, and from the other side, protesters, perhaps thousands of them, are pointing laser pistol at the police. There are probably a dozen or so water cannon trucks coming. That's perhaps the third time that police had deployed water cannon since the protests erupted since June. Now they are coming to a standoff with the police.
示威者咧係向住灣仔方向行㗎，咁啊就比較多充足嘅裝備嘅灣仔方向。咁另外咧就亦都有少。
The water cannon trucks are advancing toward the protesters. They're closing up the gaps. Protesters began retreating. They're now just inches away. The dense crowd of protesters are retreating as police keep advancing toward them. A dozen or so water cannon trucks are advancing as protesters step away, and they're dangerously close right now. It's unclear when the confrontation will begin. Protesters, many fully masked, are retreating, and the police are also masked in black with long shields. They're giving formal warnings.
水炮車嚟緊銅鑼灣，所以咧佢哋都有啲咧就去咗尖沙咀，咁亦都有一批示威者咧就向緊灣仔方向行嘅。咁我問佢哋咧係咪去灣仔支援啦，咁佢哋就話係嘅。
But it appears that today police have fired tear gas and water cannon, blue dye toward protesters very early in the day. They're calling the protest unlawful and saying that they'll disperse the crowds by force, doubling down on their use of force. And they're in a standoff with the protesters in one side, deploying maybe a dozen or so water cannon trucks. Human rights groups as well as international organizations have denounced the act of the use of water cannon and tear gas, saying that it's a threat to public safety, and that it endangers the health of the protesters. They're also raising alarms about the use of probably expired tear gas, which would be even more dangerous. Tear gas, they said, is cancer-inducing. Despite the light drizzles, protesters continually come out with their umbrellas on.
點解咧咁多人由從灣仔方向嚟呢邊嘅？
Clashes today had gotten very tense repeatedly.
即係佢哋就
It
嚟緊呢
seems to
班
be
係
a
台灣
common
就嚟
theme for police to open fire toward protesters.
咁我哋
And
見啦，
in
就
front
係
of
大
the
批嘅
government
示威者啦，
headquarters,
從
hundreds
灣仔
of
方向
protesters
嗰個方向
clashed
咧
with
就
the
嚟咗
police.
銅鑼灣嘅。
After paralyzing traffic, throwing bricks and control bombs toward the government office complex, and in retaliation, police also fired tear gas and water cannons toward them, mixed with blue dye, the first time that this has been used during the protest.
咁我哋見呢現場就係話大批嘅示威者從灣仔方向行咗嚟銅鑼灣。
In Wanchai, police and protesters have come into a standoff. The police have also raised guns several times that could shoot fire pepper sprays toward protesters, and there have been guns heard in
咁佢講緊呢就係大公報有防
They
暴
also
喎，意思
warned
即係
that
話
they
咧
could
就
use
係
tear
灣
gas
仔嗰
as
度
well
咧有
as
個大公報嘅熒幕啦，就係播大公報佢嘅宣傳嘅信息㗎。而佢話
A number
大公
of
報有防暴，即係話
protesters
嗰
have
個
been
位咧
arrested
就
today,
係有防暴警察嚟
although it's
緊。
unclear the exact number.
咦，佢又得意喎！從灣仔嚟咗之後，佢又唔係停喺度嘅喎，佢哋去咗邊啊？去尖沙咀啊？有啲喺尖沙咀，有啲去北角。啊，北角。北角。因為北角啊。我都搞清楚。明白。咁我哋見呢，大批嘅示威者雖然嚟咗銅鑼灣啦，但係並唔係話響銅鑼灣呢邊停留㗎。咁我哋見到咧，佢哋有啲咧就去咗地鐵站啦，就搭地鐵去，可能會係去尖沙咀嘅。咁有啲咧就會去北角。咁暫時未清楚佢哋點解會去北角。
The march today was themed as a formal protest against the Chinese regime's increasing encroachment over the city's autonomy that it claimed or it promised to preserve since the transfer of sovereignty rights from the British rule into China. And the August 31st march was to call for free elections, as 5 years ago, Beijing had formally announced that they would deny universal suffrage in Hong Kong elections, and currently candidates for the city have been handpicked by Beijing. And the march today has gotten really tense as protesters and police come into a standoff, and right now police are advancing toward protesters fully armed with shields and different weapons such as tear gas, guns, rubber bullets, as well as the water cannon trucks. And they're coming in large groups toward advancing toward protesters. Warning, they also give warning that they could use force at any time when necessary to disperse the crowd. As you can see, the water cannon truck is also accompanying the advancing group of police, and protesters, on the other hand, keep retreating. The event today has been banned by police, and the organizer, Civil Human Rights Front, said that they had no choice but to cancel the event. But they also said that they will support people in whatever ways they can. People are running right now. The police are running toward protesters. They're speeding up. The situation here is very tense, and confrontation could break out at any time. We're following the water cannon truck right now. Blue dye has been used for the first time ever today during the protest, the clashes between police and protesters. And it seems that they will be using this very soon. It seems that they have used it as the ground is blue right now, as a result of the blue dye in the water cannon truck. They keep arresting people. A few more people have been arrested, and they're rolling batons. The police are arresting more people, and the water cannon truck is following protesters who are retreating right now. The police have deployed water cannon. They're shooting blue dyes toward protesters, despite prior repeated warnings from human rights groups that water cannon can be even life-threatening when used with too much force. They're clearing way with water cannon trucks. Along the way, press members continue to keep up with pace with the protesters and the police, and protesters are retreating. police are making their way with blue dice and tear gas on the road. Protesters continue running. According to Amnesty International, water cannon is a real danger in the hands of police, and they said that they have warned Hong Kong police to exercise caution in use of tear gas and water cannon, saying that these powerful weapons in the densely populated streets in Hong Kong can cause serious injuries and inflame tensions. In an earlier statement, Amnesty said that water cannons are not a toy for the Hong Kong police to deploy as a sign of strength. These are powerful weapons that are inherently indiscriminate and have the potential of causing serious injury and even death. This equipment can knock a person over, push them into fixed objects, cause permanent loss of sight, or pick up loose objects and propel them as missiles. Water cannon has been deployed multiple times today, and they also started using blue dye in the water cannon.
咁我哋現場咧，啱啱就已經唔好意思啦，就上咗裝備啦，咁放低咗部機。咁現場咧，我哋聽啲示威者咧其實佢哋都幾恐慌啊，就已經走咗好多人啦。咁你就話啊，警察已經到咗啦。
Right now, a protester is holding a cross.
哇！唔好玩火喎，真係走啊走走走走！
In protest of the police.
Oh. 咁我哋見到咧就係警察啦。警察咧就喺呢邊嘅，咁咧就喺天橋下面啦，已經閃起咗燈㗎啦。咁嗰邊咧就大批嘅警察喺嗰邊啦。然後咧，我哋見呢邊咧啱啱有啲燃燒物啦。
It seems that the police had cleared off the streets very fast with their trucks and weapons. From a distance, protesters are calling each other to be safe. And across them, on the other side, the police have lined up with long shields. They are arresting more people. People are shouting. It's unclear. So there was a couple people who just fell down the ground as the police cleared out the crowds, and there are pools of blood on the scene. It's unclear how serious their injuries were, and we can still hear gunshots here. The situation is very tense as they come to a standoff, and they keep pointing guns toward people. They can shoot at any time, and more shots are heard.
幾個帶頭嘅速龍小隊咧，其實都幾乎
At least 4
認得
people
佢
were
哋㗎啦，
arrested
都熟
during
口
the
熟面㗎
clearance
啦。
operations, and one person was said to have been beaten so severely that there's blood on his head. The police have raised their guns several times. They can shoot. It seems that they're in a position ready to shoot, but another person pulled him back. Now they're retreating for some reason, and press are going after them. They just moments earlier they had pointed guns toward the press members, the journalists, and shouting toward them, hurling insults. A number of journalists in previous protests have been injured during clashes, even though they were not making aggressions toward the police. And police later on explained that they were following the threat, and they were just doing it to defend themselves. A number of more metro stations are closed temporarily, citing safety reasons. And more people are now gathering in the mall and in the Sky Bridge. And under the Sky Bridge are a large number of police force of officers. People are saying that they're very edgy. And they're beating metal tents.
係咪？呢啲係速龍咁樣喺度唞緊。
意思就是呼籲前面的人離開，否則會開槍。
Protesters are coming to stand up to police members on the Sky Bridge. They're saying that
他们想要现在降交子弹了。
otherwise they will shoot. Protesters have gone into the mall and onto the Sky Bridge. They're beating metal tents. Gunshots are heard. More gunshots. They've raised red flags as warning signs toward the protesters. They have learned earlier that they will be deploying more cannon as well as tear gas and rubber bullets They're moving back for some reason. And the journalists are going with them. They erected their shields. And protesters are throwing patrol bombs. And they're shooting at the protesters. More tear gas. Protesters are throwing objects toward them. They step back a bit, but continue to fire. More gunshots. Please step back a bit. Protesters continue to throw patrol bombs toward them as police fire tear gas in retaliation. They raise orange flags, but they're going back. A male protester was earlier injured during the clearance operations, and there was a large pool of blood on the ground. Shouts can be heard. For unknown reason, they are retreating. They're asking people to make way. While holding up their guns and threats. Make way, they said. Otherwise, they'll fight. Be fast. More police are gathering here. They have lined up in front of the protesters, ready to fire. They raise their guns. Police shot tear gas. Another round. they're shooting more tear gas. Multiple rounds continuous non-stop. Although it's noted that there's no prior warning. They continue to shoot tear gas. The situation is very tense right now. They have used water cannons several times, spraying blue dyed water with pepper. They also fired multiple rounds of tear gas. Water cannon truck is at the very front of the police group. There's still large numbers of protesters. They wear yellow helmets and blue t-shirts. Despite light rain, they're still here in large numbers and coming to confront clashes with the police. distance, the banner is raised outside. It's a warning sign telling protesters to be safe. The police said that they can fire water cannon at the protesters at any time. Dozens of guns and tears. There seems to be a temporary break before the resumption of violence and confrontation. At least one person was injured earlier in the clearance operation here. The police asked people to make way. He was signaling toward the patrol bomb that protesters threw over. Salvationist Front had again reminded everyone that they have some support, hotline support for people who get arrested. At least 5 or 6 people got arrested. Police are ready to fight. They're ready to fire tear gas.
Yeah, so the police are just keep firing rounds up tear gas. They're pushing forward right now. They pushed most of the protesters back, but there's still groups holding out here with barricades.
In Causeway Bay,
So they're just firing tear gas
protesters
into
set
the
up
crowd here
some objects and
pushing
roadblock
forward
as
with the
well
water
as
trucks. They push them back really quickly because of the water trucks, and they follow up with the tear gas. They've also shot a lot of rubber bullets and beanbag rounds into the crowd.
No, again, standoff. The police keep making their way forward.
咁啊，而家呢，前線呢邊呢，就係話要褪後嘅，咁啊一齊向後褪啦。
We can see that the protesters are pointing laser pins toward them. We heard that at least one person was again shot on the eye. And some medics at the scene said that it's suspected to be a press member. Protesters again are stepping back and they hold up their umbrellas. In anticipation of possible tear gas rounds. continue to flash laser points toward them. The person in front seems to be giving orders to the police.
咁而家喺銅鑼灣呢度
While inside, some protesters also gathered, seemingly talking about some strategies. And more anti-riot police, they're
咧就講緊啦，係繼續向後褪啦。
Police are holding up long shields. It seems that they're ready for an attack. Behind them is the water cannon truck.
BBS， 好啊。
就是这边是警察，然后另外一边是示威者。家里都没打。对。那你装备都给我。
嘅警察嗰邊咧，其實並無推進啦。警察嗰邊係冇推進嘅。咁咧，示威者自己咧就後退緊。
And they have made several arrests. The Chinese media now are charging protesters, saying that they are dragging him into darkness. However, in Hong Kong, a lot of people are saying that the police are the ones starting the violence, and they are the one making aggression, confronting the protesters with tear gas and rubber bullets. In the previous protest, a mass protest about 2 weeks ago, it was very peaceful, and a lot of people are saying that was how Hong Kong protests are when there was no police presence.
咁啲示威者其實咧指緊去咧地鐵站方向㗎。
some
佢哋話轉場。
the more aggressive protesters said that Hong Kongers will not retreat. There's no end game in Hong Kong. Every day, there's no end game. Every day they have to
佢哋咧
have
就話去地鐵站啦，準備轉
police
場。
running after them in exhaustion. In Seoul, large numbers of protesters
Police are
remain,
just holding at
but
that spot for
police
now, so we're going to go see closer to the
also raised
protesters
up
and
their
see how
orange
many are
flags,
left.
saying this.
They fired off quite a bit of tear gas already tonight. I'm not sure how many are left up here. We'll find out. Yeah, protester just ran by with a Molotov cocktail and threw it. They're just using it as the fire as a barrier. You know, I don't think they're actually trying to hit anybody with it. They don't get very close when they throw them. I asked the protester and he said it's a good barrier for when they're trying to fall back. Okay, so these are the protesters here. Yeah, we're just trying to position ourselves in a good spot so we're not caught in the crossfire here.
Protesters ignited large fire.
We've got a wall of press on this side, but this is the protesters here on the right. So the water trucks are probably going to push in here pretty quick. They keep firing tear gas into the crowd, and the protesters are here on my left. So we're just going to try to position ourselves in a safer spot so we don't get caught in the crossfire. Yeah, some of the protesters use tennis rackets to try to hit the tear gas back as far as they can. We'll try to get a shot of this. All right, we're right among the protesters here, so we've got to be careful from crossfire, rubber bullets and beanbags and tear gas. Yeah, protesters are falling back slowly. There's tear gas here, so I'm going to put my mask on. Yeah, so there was a conflict earlier today at another location. We moved here because it was closer to the Hong Kong liaison, the government location. But now it seems like the protesters are falling back after the police push forward with water trucks and tear gas. So yeah, so right now everybody's just slowly falling back. It's kind of a wall of press separating the police from the protesters. We're right among the protesters right now. The police will push forward. I think there might be actually police on the other side because I can smell tear gas. May actually be surrounded. We're going to find out. I'm just going to go up to the front line here. Yeah, they're pushing forward right now. Yeah, I hear shots. Starting to run. It's because the water trucks push forward so quickly, and then the police push forward with the tear gas. They just started using the water trucks recently. I think this is actually the second time that they've been out. So at the other location, when the water trucks moved forward, they had blue dye in the water. We actually got hit with some of it just from the wind pushing it into us. And I guess that's to differentiate who's on the front line so they can make arrests. But yeah, I think this is only the second time the water trucks have been used, so I'm not sure the protesters are used to that. It's pretty hard to fall back from when they drive really fast forward, spraying the water, then they follow up with the tear gas. So it looks like some of these guys are going to go home pretty soon. Because I don't know how much further they can fall back here. They may actually be surrounded from the other side. Pretty sure the MTR station's close to this. Yeah, the protesters pull up bricks to throw at the cop. And they've also been using fire as a barricade. Yeah, we're not really in the safest spot right here. The police are starting to fall in, close in. Police are rushing right now. Yeah, the water trucks are here. Protesters are falling back right away. They've got a protester down on the ground here. We're gonna go see what the water cannons are doing over here. We can't really see the protesters that are being arrested. There's too many police surrounding them. They're trying to block our cameras, so we're going to try to get to a different position here to see what's going on with the water trucks. You could see the police moved in very quickly, and the water trucks push forward very fast, and they follow up with the tear gas. We'll get a shot of the water truck here. Oh, it's not a water truck. That may actually have been done by the protesters. Yeah, my mistake. I couldn't see from the angle I was at. I thought it was a water truck pushed forward. They only have, I think, 3 or 4 of the water trucks, and they just started using them. So there's actually 2 on this main street here. We're going to get a different angle on these arrests being made. As you can see, the police don't want us to be able to get a good view. It's been over 900 arrests so far since the protest started. And last night, pro-democracy lawmakers and activists were rounded up and arrested for involvement in organizing protests. It seems to be a intimidation tactic to stop people from organizing any more protests, which didn't stop this one from happening today. They're taking him away. We'll try to get a closer look and see what's going on up here.
去現場咧，其實係見唔到示威者，係得記者啦，同埋記者同埋小部分街坊。哦，我響
Yeah, they're arresting another protester here and they have the area blocked off, so we can't really go any further. Looks like they're making the arrest right now.
我哋啱啱跟警察嗰陣時咧，發覺佢哋咧就係用曱甴嚟形容示威者嘅。你哋點解用曱甴形容佢哋啊？我聽到你哋，我聽到你哋伙計用曱甴嚟形容示威者喎。
邊個？
我聽到。
我聽唔到。
你哋冇諗到，我認唔到啊！
你唔好同我講呢啲。
咁現場呢，我哋見到許智峰議員喺現場啦。
taking him away. We can't get by the police right here. They've got it blocked off. They won't let us through. I don't know how. Try. Couple more ambulances showing up here.
We can call it a night. We're going to do this all
Let me call it a night. Yeah. So.
There's so many people waiting.
好啊，得，好。我就係睇下你哋，即係因為頭先我哋有幾個話有報告話邊度做緊搭單，咁睇下使唔使用？sorry， 同埋頭先係有啲意見。好，OK， 拜拜。你哋唔好阻住記者採訪咁得啦，要講啱翻後少少啊。
The police won't let us get any closer than this.
時報都有你嘅稱號啊！你行翻後邊先咯喎。太勇哥有時報包你嘅稱號啊！所以着件膠板嚟講都唱緊嗰個情況。我哋呢個鏡頭另外一邊咧，嗰個有影轉咗嚟。
我哋而家好善。
前面麻煩褪後，前面嘅人唔該褪後，前面嘅人唔該褪後。
唔好再阻住傳媒採訪啊！呢一個已經好夠好多空間㗎，唔好再搶阻礙新聞自由，阻礙傳媒採訪。快啲行過去，行過去下。
唔好喺我哋中間度。
係啊，總理指揮官喺呢度。頭先都有投訴，係有被捕人士咧係被警察拒絕係醫療救援，或上到。
麻煩上翻行人路下，後邊。
你在邊邊啊？
抽水啊！抽水啊！
行出去呢度開俾呢度嚟。
嗱，我係立法會議員許智峰，我收到投訴。警方咧係拒絕被捕人士咧接受醫療救援，拒絕俾佢上救護車。如果呢一日係一場誤會嘅話，請你出嚟解釋。否則嘅話，請你講一講呢個做法咧係並非合法嘅處理。請小隊指揮官咧係出嚟解釋。你有冇鎖匙？冇鎖，推就推就夠㗎啦。
放上去！陣間準備靠邊嗰邊，我哋一齊向前。向前，好。慢慢向後退，唔該。慢慢向前，慢慢向後退，唔該。唔好意思啊。記者朋友，慢慢向後退，唔該。小心地下線啊！唔該晒。
police are asking us to move back. Yeah, so the police have made arrests and they've asked us to move back. I'm pretty sure most of the protesters have dispersed. So we're just going to try to see what else is going on. A lot of chanting at the police from civilians and aren't too happy with their behavior. This elderly woman's very upset. She just picked up a metal bar and I think she was going to go at the police, but they convinced her it's not a good idea and they're taking her away. Stopping her from doing that. We're going to take her away. Or the police take her away. People are frustrated.
我呢個呢度嘅客口，但係我打咗俾錢喎。大家嗌晒嗰個係咯。係好啊，唔該晒你。等我問過晒啊，佢點做人民？下次啦。
雖然係走咗幾年，而家揾人啊！你捉緊完人，你話問翻我哋睇被警方，俾個咪我啊！傻閪，警察識乜嘢法律啊？我屌你仲得！都幾好笑喎！你哋專業黑仔，邊撚到黑仔啊？黑仔乜撚嘢啊？都幾搞笑喎！其實咧，頭先我問過個救護員咧，救護員話入邊完全發現唔到有3位傷者。咁頭先咧，我喺救護員咧請入去再去 check 多次，究竟有冇3位傷者？救護員咧就去咗後邊，然之後帶同嗰兩位同事出嚟。咁咧，我哋喺3位嘅睇下佢真係對事情啦，因為頭先。咁樣，咁我哋都希望支持救護員幫手，我哋去揾呢個傷者好唔好啊？因為冇理由我哋頭先明明見到3個人突然間失咗蹤咁樣噶嘛，係啊。我想問你頭先見唔見到後面頭先走咗去嗰個阿 Sir 喺邊度啊？係咪去咗後邊？即係個救護員橙色嘅，係應該係左邊架車嘅。可唔可以揾人過去問一問佢哋係咪有人過嚟啊？阿立過一過去好唔好啊？唔該。頭先咧，我哋問點解唔見咗3位少女嗰個時候咧，警方嘅回應係叫我哋去問 TPRB 嘅嚇。咁我覺得成件事係好詭異嘅，即係仲犀利過呢個大衛魔法師嗰啲咁樣，魔術師嗰啲咁樣，突然間唔見咗。好啦，救護員入去俾個掌聲救護員好唔好啊？好。請救護員幫手啦！我哋明明唔見咗個少女啊！我想個咪近前啲，去翻前方可唔可以？我唔知個咪去咗邊啊！上咗。前咗，係啊！我睇到你哋幫手係見到3位受傷嘅人，係3位少女佢壓晒，冇需要拖搭車㗎，唔該，救護員哥哥。
咁而家警察就而家後退緊啦，走緊啦。
我哋唔係追擊警方啊，因為唔係佢哋有話我哋威脅佢啊，我哋係關心年青人嘅啫。咁咧，最好可能請行開行嘅道路，因為呢個好似係啱法例啲嘅。不過可能人哋唔啱法例，我哋都未必需要啱嘅。不過點都好啦，而家呢個救護員咧，幫佢手法嚟好啊，好啊，啲人喺邊度啊？我聽日就唔嚟，我同你講。你再幫我咧，我聽日就唔嚟。
個情況咧就係話有個女傷者啦，然後咧警察咧嘗試就將佢拘捕，咁樣咧就係佢係受咗傷嘅，然後咧就救護車嚟咗之後咧，竟然咧就係見唔到人㗎。咁咧，反而警察問翻咧現場嘅人咧，呢個女仔去咗邊？咁現場嘅救護孩子嘅組織咧，就覺得好離譜咯，就覺得你哋捉住咗個女仔，而家仲問翻救護孩子嘅團體咧，佢哋去咗邊？即係個女傷者去咗邊？
埋警察清白，我哋都好想你哋能夠有個獨立調查委員會，因為你哋唔係個個都係。跟住向右 extend，而家嗰陣向右 extend，向右 extend，我哋慢慢慢慢。向右 extend，向右 extend。
放翻佢出嚟啊！佢需要上白車啊！個女仔去咗邊啊？佢話佢受傷需要救助啊！喂，警察，你哋話叫我哋唔好射你，點解你要射我哋啊？你話光會傷害你，你點解要傷害我哋啊？我哋要翻個小妹妹啊！個小妹妹話要上白車啊！佢有需要啊！你哋走去邊啊？放翻個小妹妹出嚟啊！放翻小妹妹出嚟啊！佢需要救你啊！佢需要啊！佢有急救需要啊！佢有救護需要啊！
希望你哋亦都係能夠陽光司法，唔好喺送中條例未實施嘅時候已經
你哋屋企有屋企人，你哋都揦細佬氣我啦，係咪啊？
所有嘅警方，你哋知道
一定知啊！小妹妹去咗邊啊？你哋反應我啊！
你估你好威啊？就係咁。
用咪講啫，各位警察哥哥，麻煩你話俾我聽，頭先嗰個小妹妹去咗邊？呢位各位警察先生，麻煩你話俾我聽，頭先嗰位小妹妹去咗邊？
可唔可以講講發生咩事？
頭先咧，我哋見到警察咧就拘咗3位示威者，咁其中一位小妹妹咧，我哋問佢需唔需要救護車，佢岌頭話需要嘅。咁我哋同一時間咧，我哋叫咗市民咧去 call 白車。咁當我哋 call 咗白車嚟嘅時候咧，白車入咗去，但係咧救護員話冇傷者，而且警方同我哋講話。你哋知唔知個小妹妹去邊？但我哋明明見到個小妹妹咧係已經俾佢哋捉咗㗎啦。同一時間佢哋亦都問我，咁個受傷者係叫乜嘢名？其實我哋都想知個受傷者叫咩名，但係佢哋唔俾我哋問，已經逼走咗佢哋。頭先有位警察叔叔咧同我哋講話，會話翻俾我哋聽嗰位小妹妹嘅情況，但係到依家佢哋不斷咁樣退後褪後。嗰位小妹妹去咗邊？我哋依家完全唔知道，我哋就係想知嗰位小妹妹可唔可以得到白車嘅救援，但係依家我哋真係唔知去咗邊。究竟我哋係咪應該要做翻人應該做嘅嘢？佢哋係完全冇理過我哋咯，完全冇應我哋。
有人指前邊，使唔使過過睇下？
個細路女喺邊啊？唔該你哋啊！佢唔舒服啊！係啊，麻煩拎咪嗰位警察先生，你可唔可以回應我哋頭先嗰位小妹妹去咗邊啊？受傷，佢要求係要上白車，我哋幫佢叫咗白車㗎。麻煩你回應我哋啊！唔該你哋啊！回應我哋啊，警察先生。拎咪嗰位警察先生，麻煩回應我哋啊！頭先嗰位受傷小妹妹去咗邊啊？我哋好想知啊！我哋想幫佢上白車啊！拎咪嗰位警察先生，麻煩你話俾我聽，受傷嗰位小妹妹去咗邊？佢需要上白車接受呢個治療㗎。
我哋1、2架車7點鐘得啊，7點鐘。
拎咪嗰位警察先生，麻煩回應啊！麻煩出嚟答問題啊！拎咪嗰位警察先生，麻煩你出嚟回應問題啊！唔該。
你跟翻啲良知嚟啦！
拎咪嗰位警察先生，請問有冇位警察先生可以出嚟同我哋聯絡啊？我哋想知頭先受傷嗰位小妹妹去咗邊啊？
係啊，佢濫用私刑㗎嘛。
即係個女仔係哮喘，有一個男仔係哮喘㗎。
咁嗰男仔上唔上到白車啊？
上唔到，而家3個都上唔到白車，而家都唔知去咗邊，佢哋收埋咗佢啊，唔知去咗邊。有一個哮喘，有一個阿 Sir 話做聯絡，話會俾佢上白車，一路叫我哋等，跟住就唔見咗啦。佢仲問我哋攞翻名，我哋唔知佢喺邊喎，咁講啊。而家都唔知去咗邊，而家嗰3個都唔知去咗邊。妨礙司法公正。乜嘢啊？大事早實效啊！
係咪黃白啊？哇，係咪黃白啊？係咪係黃白啊？係黃白。黃白。黃白咩事啊？可唔可以用？
咁佢咧就我 repeat 翻呢位陳伯講，呢位陳伯咧都係絕食啊，係一啲行得好前嘅。咁佢就同呢位黃伯一齊咧，想話擋一擋，即係俾年青人走咧。警隊就埋嚟啊！喺好多人嘅裏邊咧，陳伯嘅目擊咧就係佢哋撞低咗阿黃伯。咁邊
個撞低咗黃伯？
警隊撞低咗黃伯。咁呢個黃伯咧就係嗰個膝頭哥受傷嘅，都起唔到身。咁啊，陳伯就情緒好激動，佢覺得老人家你點解撞我哋啊咁樣。咁後嚟有啲警隊嘅救援嘅嚟到咧，佢哋都好唔接受佢哋幫手。咁然之後而家 call 白車咧，咁佢哋先肯上，佢哋又唔肯俾警隊嘅救援人員幫手，即係佢哋覺得係即係已經係大家嘅不信任建立咗太耐啦咁樣。
唔該曬，唔該曬。
所以呢位係黃伯。
哦，我想問下佢當時。
罷工罷工，唔記得唔記得？
多年。玩嘢啊！有咩啊？
9月9日入選。
全港3百。以前開張嚟送啲咯。點啊？黑警係咯，而家都係搞真搞。
支持狗乸出軌。
跟記者。
奸人啊！你哋去邊撚度啊？交人啊！上班強姦人啊！屌你老母！揾人啦！佢咩話人曱甴？係咪翻純粹個強姦人啊？而家你都係女人嚟㗎！
咁而家市民咧，就而家警察咧就已經退去㗎啦。咁市民咧就喺度鬧佢哋而家社會啦。咁市民咧，而家現場咧警察已經係退去㗎啦。咁市民咧，現場啊、街坊啊、市民啊咁樣啦，就大聲咁啊黑社會咁啊鬧警察㗎。咁啱啱仲有年青人咧就講翻之前啦，有女仔被非禮，即係俾現場拘捕嘅時候俾人即係除咗條裙啦，嗰陣時嗰個情況係甩咗條裙啦嘅情況。咁咧所以佢講翻形容翻啱啱情況啦，亦都指責翻現場嘅女警咧就話你都係女人嚟㗎咁樣。咁現場亦都好多嘅市民咧就喺度講黑社會咁樣咁度送走警察㗎。
黑社會！